As we celebrate Black History Month, the Butler highlights Black artists and the culture that inspires their art and influences American art. I'm joined today by abstract artist Keith Wisdom, as the museum features his work during Black History Month. We're in the gallery surrounded by Keith Wisdom's paintings that are directly influenced by the creative essence, costumes, color, and rhythm of the Bahamian National Cultural Festival known as Junkanoo. Join us as we delve into Keith's creative process and learn more about how the Junkanoo Festival has affected his spirit of painting. To create a work of art of your own, gather some paper, paint, a plastic card such as this, and join us as you let your imagination soar. Keith, I understand you were born in the Bahamas. How did your life in the Bahamas influence you as an artist?
Direct influence on the art has to be my experience from a little child who couldn't even walk when they first experienced Junkanoo. That is the major visual artistic experience that I've had all my life. And I found something there that affected me deeply. And eventually I realized it was the rhythm, the color, the heartbeat, the repetition that is all a part of the performance, the street performance of Junkanoo. I tried to do that in my work.
So Junkanoo is a street festival. Can you share with our viewers a little bit just about how it transpires and when it happens each year? It is yearly, is that correct?
Yes, yes it is. Junkanoo happens on Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas, and New Year's Day. And it originated with the time that slaves, Bahamian slaves, had off to do whatever they wanted to do, and it happened once a year. They had 2 days off, Boxing Day and New Year's Day. And during that time, they would get together, usually around a major fire, and that simple gathering and the good time they had, perhaps they sang songs, perhaps there'd be drums, goatskin drums, we believe. That simple gathering has become a festival, a street festival of the people. It comes from the people. And every Bahamian, anywhere in the world, will know Junkanoo.
Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, as far as your whole artistic and creative process, you've used lots of different materials, but what are some of your favorite materials that showcase all of this beautiful and rich color and movement and the line qualities and rhythm that's throughout each of your compositions?
Well, the key was to follow what I wanted to portray, which is the rhythm, the lines, the colors. What could help me to do that and to cause them to have life? And I found that if I used edge tools that allowed me to smear, as in the smear of movement, the blur of movement that you can see during the festival, and then lines that, edges that create lines that show the energy that comes from the group that is performing Junkanoo. So I found that I used a credit card, for example, a Mason's trowel that allows me to smear, and the technique is very close to a technique used by the German artist Gerhard Richter in his abstract works, where he slowly pulls color across the field and it creates an energy and action within the field. And because it's so abstract, when you look at it, your mind will not allow you to just see chaos. So you find an action in it, and I find that people enjoy it.
Great, great. So shall we begin the creative process and share with our viewers
Yes, I want to do.
How you actually work?
I want to do two quick things, Joyce. I have discovered that I work between two extremes, basically very tight and controlled using geometric shapes. Another style is to use paint and smear it together, creating very interesting relationships, sometimes achieving depth, but again, keeping focused on what I want to represent in terms of Junkanoo, which is the energy or action within the piece. So I'd like to very quickly work on a piece. We won't complete, but it's just to show the process.
Sure.
A piece using color, an open field, and a drag technique. And then I want to use a piece using a credit card. But let's start with the wide dragging technique.
Okay, Keith, can you share with your viewers what kind of paper actually is this that you're using
This is
today?
your basic watercolor paper. I think it's watercolor, Strathmore watercolor, 140 pounds.
So actually, if you're interested in getting some watercolor paper, it's really not that pricey, is it?
No, no.
So-
It's very, 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 very easy to find at any local art store. It's not that pricey. And actually, for this kind of trial, you can even buy the least expensive. You can buy the least expensive pieces of paper just to do a trial and work yourself up into a good Strathmore watercolor.
Right, so if you want to start today and you have some paper around you and you want to start and create as Keith does, feel free to grab some paper that you think will help you to experiment.
Now, key is to everybody, especially everybody watching, forget about the possibility of mistakes. That's one of the things that works against the creation or the trial of creating a piece like this. And as you'll notice, I'm putting the paint directly onto the paper because I don't care how it'll work out, because I don't know how it'll come out. This is one of the beautiful parts. The piece is literally going to appear as we pull through. Now, I can put paint on the paper itself, like I've done now, or I can put it on the trouble.
And the paint, can you share what kind of paint that is?
This is Liquitex acrylic paint. And this is heavy body, fairly heavy body. You can use a light body, but less control in terms of moving it around. So I would say start with the heavy body. And this, folks, is all about watching your painting, your piece appear as you pull through. Key here is the pressure you apply. Key here is the pressure you apply. When you pull down, you're going to introduce some lines. Where I put the color, that's where that particular color will start. If you put it on the trouble itself, wherever you place the trouble is where the color will start. So let's make that first pull. This is the exciting part. Watch your piece appear. And don't worry, it's always very, very interesting. And here's the key right at the end. Pull that out. Now, I'm sorry, but that is interesting.
It is very interesting. Look at how these colors mix together.
And there's no way you can do that quite like that with a brush. And that's what's key here. Now, you can stop, clean everything off, or decide to make another pull through. Now, you can pull through by shifting left or right, or you can decide to come from the side. Let's try the side. And understand now you're going to destroy certain parts. I really like that, so I don't want to destroy that. I want to wait a while. I like it all, but I think I have some space here. I can lose this and gain pull-up at the end, and watch what happens, Joyce. And it's all about the pressure. And notice I'm holding the trouble at an angle and just pull through and up. Look again.
Notice how the yellow mixes with the blue to make a green, two primary colors, yellow and blue. And here we have some orange going on between the red and the yellow.
Let's add another color here. I want to work here, here, and I have a sense of what may happen here. And don't be afraid to dip your fingers in and try a little smear, just as an opposition to what's happening.
Great.
Okay? Gets kind of nasty, well, not nasty, but gets kind of filled with paint. But it's a lot of fun. And we've gone down, up and down, we've gone side. Let's take a slight turn. And once again, I like this area, so I'm just going to take a part of it. And this orange, let's see what we're gonna do.
Notice how Keith lifts up to preserve the areas that he wants to keep.
Now, she didn't know, but Joyce, I'm gonna ask you to take one run down and you decide which color you want me to add and where you want to add it.
Oh, exciting, exciting. Now, everyone out there, I've never done this before, so we shall see what transpires.
I have a darker red, I have a
Okay.
green, and I have a dark blue.
I think I'm going to go for this, which looks almost to me like a magenta, but
Yes, it is. And here we go, on or on the trouble.
let's put a dot here and a dot here.
Okay, once you add it as a dot, when she pulls through, it will come through as a line.
Okay, here we go.
Angle it. Pressure right in there. Pull down, flatten it, and right at the edge, pull it up. Good,
Great,
good. Now,
so much fun.
once you've done that, you can just try to, you want to
I
limit,
love that.
limit your wastage. Okay, keep that pretty much.
Look at the beautiful intermixing of colors there.
Now, something else that we can play with, we've created this, these edges I've found, these points rather, people always see those as women clad in veils, and it creates a very spiritual kind of gathering type feeling.
Oh.
But everything is basically working up and down or to the side. We tried a slight turn. I also, again, just to see what will happen, at this point like to add
A little bit of
points.
yellow.
a little bit of yellow, just to pull up. There's a lot of yellow there, so I don't want it to disappear too quickly. So I'll add just a slight touch of green, no particular reason, just what I felt like doing, and another drop. Now here's the difference. We reveal the piece by moving steadily. Here, I want you to work with the smear, smaller area, but to create the line. So yes, a smear with the line. A
That is
smear
so cool.
with the line. A smear with the line. With the line. Now, try to work your smears and your edge pulls so that they interact and create the movement of Junkanoo, the movement of the crowd.
You could almost hear the music
You could almost-
as it is
yes.
created through your composition
Yes.
and get a feel for it.
You can try. Okay? Now, the thing is, about a piece like this, you want to have fun and create a basic background. But based on what you've created, Joyce, you always want something that stands out the most. You don't have to. You can create it so basically there's a field of interest all through. But this is very beautiful. So
I
what you
agree.
do, moving on from here, should involve keeping the interest on this, making this the most interesting part.
Almost
And-
like it would be your focal point?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But I want to stress, you don't have to have a focal point.
Right.
But if one presents itself that people will be able to identify, that you will be able to identify with, keep going.
Okay.
Okay? It'll help people to know and try and get close to what was interesting to you. Now, the other thing is, yeah, but how do I do it? Which colors do I use? The colors are right there. Yellow, orange, green. Now, I'm going to use some green. I don't need to put it next to green.
Right.
So I'll find someplace next to the yellow for it.
So right, there's no green in that area.
So put some there
Yes.
to balance it off. There's no orange down here on this side. You can add some there. and then possibly introduce a whole new blow. Okay, very dark blue. Now, again, Joyce, it seems like there is nothing in particular you're doing, but this is the key to the abstract painter. People say, my 3-year-old daughter can do that. Not really, because the abstract artist, even though it looks like he's creating or she's creating something that is non-representative, they're always doing something, okay? They're not
Exactly.
just moving paint around. Moving paint around would look silly. It won't work. But if you're building, if you're adding to that concept of making this area that has become the focal point more interesting, you're doing something, and that's how you need to think. Now, the other thing is, do I want to do smears or more lines? I think I want to do more lines. Just a choice to see what happens.
Right.
At this point, we're still finding out what will happen, okay? So this is your deep dark blue. Basically, it's going to have the effect of a black, but an interesting black because of the blueness in it. It won't just fade in. It
I
has a
love the way
brilliance to
you
it.
swirl.
It's all
as
in
well.
here. It's all in here. But
Great.
notice it's just a variation on the pressure that you use at the beginning. Okay? And we want to come through here. And notice it's creating a different kind, okay, of smear.
I love it.
Now, I would actually leave that alone, and I'll ask you, among these same colors, if you could choose another 4 colors.
4 more colors?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm going to take magenta, green. These two are complementary colors.
Okay.
And then I think I'll put some yellow in and this blue.
Okay, great. Now, do you want them on the paper direct? I'd like to do that because we're using a different
Sure.
kind of squeegee. And then I'm going to ask you to make the first turn.
Okay.
And I'll do the second, and
Okay.
we'll create a kind of
All right,
collaborative
great.
fun thing.
Great.
At this point, I wet it.
So that is a squeegee that Keith is using. If you know anything about printmaking, squeegees are used on a silk screen. So that's
Anywhere you
going
want.
to create his, how many dots?
And you don't always have to apply as dots, but that's one way to apply it. But when you pull through a dot, you usually get some kind of line.
Okay.
All right? Now, she's applied the green. We can either add another color or we can go with this. I'm going to start by going with this, and then I'm going to add 2 colors after
Okay.
this when you do your pull.
Okay, great.
Now, here's the key. Get ahead of your mind. And what I mean by that is, before you can think about it and get your thinking, oh my, what do I do? How do I just do it? And it'll create something. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. We've just started our creation.
So continue with this green?
I'm
Or,
going to add some yellow.
Okay.
Leave the green there.
Okay.
We'll get a nice mixture. We don't know which kind of mixture we will get, but something will happen. Aim for both where color is and where color isn't.
okay,
And again, get ahead of your mind.
Okay.
Work in here. We're creating lines, smears, curves, flat planes.
Okay,
Anyone.
great.
See where your wrist takes you.
oops.
All right. I need you to go up and down now. Hold on.
Oh, okay,
Just to cut through this flattening. And you're flattening everything out. Don't forget to pull up at the end.
okay. I've never done this before, everyone, so it's pretty
What
exciting.
fun. What fun.
It is so much fun.
Before you can think it through. Yes. Now try your line. There you go. And come here Now, I'm gonna go next. What is begging for some
I think
right
like
there?
right in here and up here.
Okay, what would you like to add?
Let's go with, how about red?
Okay, would you like to apply some of that
Sure.
for me?
I'll put a little red here, a little swirl of red there, and I think that should be good.
Something out of nothing.
I know. That was
And
great.
This is where usually I would pause and maybe come in and work with a brush. Or you really want to get excited, get a credit card and add white in various places. And this whole thing will jump. But look at what we've created in just a few
Right,
years. And
right.
anyone can do this. The idea is to fill your white, but there's nothing wrong with leaving
Some
white
white
frame
space.
as well
Uh-huh.
because of how you might frame it.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
What is the most or more interesting part of this that you might want to preserve?
I actually, for me at least, this part I really like.
Okay. Okay. What would you
And
want-
I also like, sorry, Keith,
Sure.
I really like these line qualities here, the thin lines.
Yes. And I would say the Junkanoo is preserved. We can see the movement here.
Uh-huh.
We can see the sense of a person or an entity moving through. This is still Junkanoo. And notice it is completely different
Than this
yet
piece.
the same
Yes,
kind of quality. And look at the color.
I know. That's terrific. It's exciting.
Okay.
I think it's very exciting.
Now, I want to go with one more piece. I think we have time for one
Okay.
more piece. And I want to
Then
make this.
once we're, everyone, once we finish another piece, and Keith has shared his creative process, we're going to talk a little bit more as he shows you the actual creative process in some works that he has already
been
done.
working.
And there some are in progress.
Now, starting with, I wish I had some white with me, but I purposely left it out
okay.
because I use it so much. But using just this dark blue, green, red, and I think I'm going to have you add a little yellow at a point.
Okay,
I want to work on this idea of the piece that's being created by the credit card and the edges and the flattened, smaller version of a trouble tool. Now, with a little more thinking, I would usually take something like a red, a piece that's going to be strong and stand out as my starting point.
so just the paint on that credit card
Just
now.
the paint on the credit card, dry,
Okay.
on the paper that's dry. And I really begin to build on what I've laid down. That's shown me something, rich, fadey area. I want to preserve what's happening there. So I go into this area here. Don't know what's going to happen, but I know I want to remain thick. Come down through. Look at that.
Wow,
Okay?
awesome.
And notice what's happening. It doesn't take much to see that that is a figure that is celebratory, that is moving.
It looks like it to me. I can see the movement in that line
In there.
quality.
A lot of space over here. What could we add? We could add the exuberance of the moment with this other color.
Great.
Okay? So we know we need a smear, a down thing, and through, and there we go.
That is awesome.
Little more thought, building on, and it also gives us an opportunity to do this, to introduce a plane that isn't seen but will add. And that is a flat, straight up and down plane. And I advise the threesome. There's something about the tripartite approach that creates a non-balance. And it's more effective, more interesting. Now, for me, those blues beg that yellow.
Okay.
So if you can put that where you feel you'd like it to be, I'm going to take lines to strengthen the movement of this figure.
Maybe a little right here.
I want to strengthen the movement, so I want to create lines. It's all in the wrist.
That is great. Look at this movement, everyone. Isn't it awesome? Great.
Now, again, the white here would be applied to the areas of white, and I would take them down through the color, and again, to create that sense of depth
Yes.
and movement.
Yes. So white actually added to another color is going to lighten it. So it'll bring out the color.
It makes everything around it pop.
Exactly.
This is all about freedom and use of extreme color to create rhythm, repetition, and that action.
I think that our viewing audience can take this and take it to a step and level of their own
Yes.
as they use their own creativity.
Birthday
some of
party,
it,
wedding.
Sure.
What is the action? What's happening?
Right.
Where are people seated? Where's the action happen? Where's the speech person? Where are the people sitting? These are all parts that you can create without being representative, but just showing the energy or the feeling or the rhythms that happen. And by the way, the introduction or use of portraying rhythm is to have nothing happen, because the rhythm there is still, and it may vibrate. It's all there, and it's all Junkanoo.
Great. We appreciate it so much, Keith. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for enlightening our viewers. Thank you for giving us another approach
Thank you.
to understanding more about abstract art. The creativity of his process can hopefully help you to create a work of your own. Now we're going to turn to Keith as we clear the space and have him share some of his works in progress and his techniques.
When I paint, I find that I paint between two extremes, very tight, very close geometric shapes to pieces that are just completely free. In terms of creating the tight geometric pieces, I just want to give you a sense of how I begin. And this is the plan. And as you can see, everything is very precise, and I plot where I will set the color. I then move from this to a piece like this. And you'll see I'm slowly building with little color and creating the movement through the piece. Again, a reference to Junkanoo. A piece like this, which is acrylic and colored pencil, I find that I'm having structure, but there's still an extreme movement in it, and that is another style and produces another kind of painting. This is a piece that I'm almost done working with, and I'm still deciding, using these highlights, what this piece is going to feel like. But it's just before or very close to being done. This is what I consider a piece that is done and ready to be framed. You'll see that there is control there, but because of how I've placed the geometric shapes, there's still this sense of flowing and movement and the relationship to this Junkanoo. This is a final piece ready to be framed, and you'll see the extreme use of color, the extreme using suggestion of rhythm and the dynamics in the piece. And this is really what a lot of my work is about.
Thank you for being with us today, Keith, and sharing your creative process with our viewers. We appreciate it. Let's remember, art and color are all around us. Take time to really look and find the creativity within you. Is there a special celebration your family shares that sparks your creative spirit? Use your imagination and the techniques that we've shown you today to create your own masterpiece.